Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt a strange dissatisfaction? That feeling that somehow you're not living up to the potential that lies within you? That's your weak version, speaking the part of you that clings to comfort, fears discomfort, and avoids responsibility. And let me tell you something, everyone has this weak version. No one is born perfect. No one is immune to laziness, fear, or self-doubt. But here's the truth. The weak version of you is not permanent. It is not your destiny. It is merely the version of you that has been tolerated for too long. And the moment you decide to confront it, challenge it, and destroy it, that's the moment your life begins to change. Today, we're going to solve a problem that silently eats away at your dreams. A problem so subtle that most people don't even recognize it until years have passed, the weak version of yourself that stops you from becoming the person you were meant to be. This weak version shows up as procrastination. It whispers excuses when you should act. It convinces you to stay in your comfort zone when growth demands courage. And it slowly robs you of your energy, your potential, and your peace of mind. The good news, this weak version can be killed. Not with anger, not with temporary motivation, but with awareness, action, and the courage to redefine yourself. Today, we will go step by step on how to confront it, dismantle it, and rise stronger than ever. The first step to killing the weak version of yourself is to recognize it. But here's the challenge. The weak version does not wear a sign on its forehead. It does not announce itself. It comes disguised as comfort, laziness, fear, and avoidance. It shows up in subtle ways every time you choose short-term pleasure over long-term progress. Every time you binge watch instead of working on your goals. Every time you complain about your circumstances instead of taking responsibility for your life. The weak version is not visible to anyone but you. It is deeply personal, internal, and often camouflaged by excuses or rationalizations. Yet, it is always there, whispering quietly in the corners of your mind. It convinces you to settle for less, to postpone your growth, to avoid discomfort. Imagine a small, persistent voice inside your head that says, "Not today, I can't, I'll start tomorrow." That voice is not random. It is your weak version, polite, persuasive, and deceptively convincing. If ignored, it silently shapes your decisions, dictating the trajectory of your life without you even realizing it. To truly recognize it, you must look at your life with brutal honesty. Observe your patterns carefully. Where are you repeating the same mistakes over and over? Where are you settling for mediocrity instead of striving for excellence? Where are you afraid to take the next step, even when you know it is necessary for growth? Ask yourself a simple yet powerful question. If I were the strongest, most capable version of myself, how would I think, act, and respond in this situation? When you begin noticing these weak patterns, something remarkable happens. Awareness itself becomes a weapon. The weak version cannot survive in the light of consciousness. Once it is named, exposed, and acknowledged, it loses some of its power. Awareness gives you the clarity to see the difference between who you are and who you could be. It creates a space in your mind where choice exists, where you can decide not to follow the weak path but to rise above it. Recognition is not a one-time act, it is a continual practice. Each time you pause, reflect, and identify the whispers of weakness, you take the first step toward transforming yourself. Awareness is not just the beginning, it is the foundation on which the destruction of the weak version and the birth of the stronger, empowered self is built. Recognition alone is not enough. Awareness must be followed by deliberate action, because knowing about your weak version does nothing unless you confront it in your daily life. Every time you procrastinate, every time you give in to comfort instead of pursuing growth, you are secretly feeding that weak version of yourself. Every skipped workout, every excuse you tell yourself, every negative thought you indulge in is like giving it a meal. It grows stronger while you remain trapped in patterns that limit your life. The weak version thrives on distraction, indulgence, and avoidance. It loves when you scroll endlessly on your phone, when you seek instant gratification over long-term success, and when you allow fear to dictate your choices. It thrives when you repeat habits that drain your energy, cloud your mind, and rob your clarity. And here's the harsh truth. If you do not stop feeding it, it will never die. It will continue to grow silently, shaping your choices, dictating your limits, and keeping you from becoming the person you are capable of being. So, how do you stop feeding it? The answer is deceptively simple, but profoundly challenging. By making conscious choices moment after moment every day. When that inner voice whispers, just rest a little more, respond with action. When it says you'll never be good enough, respond with effort. When it tries to convince you to escape responsibility, face it head on. Every act of courage, every small step forward weakens it. Every time you refuse its demands, you starve it. This process is not easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But the moment you choose action over comfort, discipline over distraction, and courage over fear, the weak version begins to lose its power. And in its place, a stronger, more capable, unstoppable version of yourself begins to rise, one decision, one action, one choice at a time. Now comes the part that most people misunderstand. Many of us wait for a surge of motivation to act, thinking that one moment of inspiration will change everything. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. It cannot be relied upon to build strength or discipline. The weak version of yourself knows this all too well. It waits patiently for moments when you are tired, distracted, or discouraged, ready to pull you back into old habits and comfort zones. True strength is not built in flashes of inspiration. It is built through repetition, consistency, and deliberate discipline. Small actions, repeated daily, become habits. Habits shape your identity, and identity ultimately shapes your life. Each tiny action you take reinforces who you are becoming, gradually eroding the weak version and laying the foundation for a stronger self. Ask yourself, what small action today would your weak version despise? Perhaps it is waking up early, resisting distractions, completing a task you have been avoiding, or speaking your truth even when it feels uncomfortable. Whatever it is, commit to doing it again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Over time, these repeated actions become unstoppable momentum. Strength is not built in heroic or dramatic moments. It is built quietly in the invisible, daily, repeated choices that demand discipline and patience. The weak version fears routine because it is predictable, challenging, and uncomfortable. But the strong version thrives in routine because repetition breeds confidence, resilience, and unshakable momentum. Every time you act consistently, you are training your mind, your character, and your soul. Each repetition sends a clear message to your subconscious. I am not weak. I am capable. I am disciplined. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the weak version begins to dissolve. And in its place rises the stronger, more resilient, unstoppable version of yourself. Not by chance, not by motivation, but by the quiet, transformative power of daily discipline. Finally, killing the weak version of yourself is not just about stopping old habits, it is about becoming a completely new person. You don't merely suppress weakness, you evolve beyond it. You step into a higher version of yourself, one that thinks, acts, and responds differently than the person you used to be. Weakness is never truly defeated until your identity itself transforms. Until you see yourself in a new light, the weak version lingers, waiting for moments of doubt to creep back in. Think of it this way. Your life is a mirror of your identity. If you see yourself as weak, fearful, or incapable, your life will inevitably reflect that perspective. you will notice patterns of avoidance, hesitation, and missed opportunities. But if you choose to see yourself as strong, courageous, and unstoppable, your life begins to align with that identity. Every thought, every decision, every reaction starts shifting toward growth, resilience, and purpose. The weak version cannot survive in this new reality. It simply cannot exist alongside a higher self. The transformation comes when you embrace a higher identity. This is not about temporary motivation or short bursts of willpower. This is about a permanent shift in how you perceive yourself. You begin thinking differently, speaking differently, acting differently, and even expecting differently. Fear no longer paralyzes you, it fuels you. Challenges are no longer threats, they are opportunities. Obstacles no longer frustrate you, they are lessons guiding you toward growth. People around you begin to notice the change. Your energy, confidence, and resolve become visible, and your life starts to reflect the new identity you have chosen. Replacing your old identity is not easy. It requires courage to face your past, honesty to recognize your weaknesses, and patience to nurture your new self consistently. But once you commit fully, the weak version has no place to hide. It dies quietly, naturally, without drama or resistance, because you no longer give it life. Each decision, each action, each thought aligned with your higher self continues to solidify this transformation. Over time, you stop thinking of yourself as someone who could fail, and you start living as someone who's capable, strong, and unstoppable. This is the essence of personal evolution. The weak version dies not by force, but because you have become someone greater than it ever was. So, today, I invite you to look within, recognize the weak version of yourself, stop feeding it, build a stronger version with daily action, and finally, replace your old identity with a higher one. Life will test you. Fear, doubt, distraction, and comfort will all try to pull you back into weakness. But remember, the weak version only has power if you give it life. You have the power to starve it, destroy it, and rise beyond it. The journey will not be easy. It will require effort, consistency, and courage. But on the other side lies a life where you are no longer a prisoner of your fear, procrastination, or weakness. On the other side is a life where you are free, strong, and fully alive, the life you were always meant to live. Today is the day. Kill the weak version. Rise as the strongest version. Your future self will thank you.